winner. The issue here of having been told that she had cancer, what did you do? What was the operation about? What did you cut off?
So after the biopsy, we got the news. The decision was to remove breasts. The question was one or two, and I made a decision that I'm going to be removing both.
Why?
And so, why? Two things came to me. I do not want it to be at that place because they had seen some spots in the other breast, and though it wasn't they didn't do a biopsy on that breast, I could have taken one and then chance to see if I'd be at that place again a certain time again. I didn't want it to gamble that way.
You made the right decision.
Yeah, I didn't want to gamble. Thanks. I just said, you know what, be gone with it. I just went and I just made a decision to go both, and they did a bilateral mastectomy and they did a reconstructive surgery at the same time as well.
Calm down. A bilateral mastectomy.
Yes.
So that my granny or my grandfather, since he wouldn't have breasts like that, and men do have breast cancer.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do.
What is a bilateral?
So bilateral just means that both breasts.
So bi, both.
Yes, bi, right. So a mastectomy meaning you took one, but bilateral mastectomy meaning that both breasts are removed during surgery, and it means that every pocket, every column of the breast, it's almost going back onto your chest, your backbone. So literally that was removed, and both of them were removed.
Yes. And what's the treatment since then? And
so when I got the recovery, and I was down to about 12 weeks into recovery, I was advised to do chemotherapy. And one of the reasons why I was advised, because when they look at the margins, when they look at the lymph nodes, though my lymph nodes were not affected, to get a clean prognosis, they advised that I should. And because also my cancer was was estrogen positive.
Help me.
So estrogen positive meaning that it was hormonal. I had to use blockers. So to make sure that my body was apparently producing more estrogen that drove that cancer to grow.
But the estrogen is what females have.
Absolutely, and I was overproducing. So I had quite a bit. Now everybody has different drivers for their cancer because some are HER2 positive. Different things drive persons different cancer. I got to know this because indeed. I started to research and I started to understand what was happening. So I was told I had to be on hormone blockers. That also sent me in early menopause. So that was a whole different conversation happening there. Yes. But I was told chemotherapy was a good completion to the process. Yes. I thought about it. I mean, when persons heard about chemotherapy, they said chemo kills more than cancer. I've heard the stories. If I listened to every story, I probably would have not gone and done anything. Some persons brought bush literally to my house, and they say, you know what, just take this. This will work. So I said, how much, when? 3 times a day? How much bush should I take, when, and how? How do you take that? What's the dosage? So I had so much concern, and genuine concern, and everybody had a cure. Some person said baking soda and molasses. Everybody knew something. But you know what? I had to just do what's best for me. Yes. I opted to go with chemo. I did the chemo. I lost my hair. I lost eyebrow. I lost eyelashes. I went down from 140 to about 90 pounds. I went down. I lost weight. But I still stand by that decision that I made. I still stand by it because at the end of the day, nobody knew if there was a cure, then we would all have the cure.
Yes,
so,
yes,
we keep walking and talking about the cure, but if it exists, I don't know. So I have to try something.
Yes, indeed.
And I want to try from persons who have the experience.
Yes. What was the chemotherapy treatment like? How long did you do it for, and how did it make you feel? I've often heard about that.
I did 4 cycles of it, and that was, I think, every 2 weeks. I think I did every Tuesday, every 2 weeks, and if I can remember, I think it was TC for my cancer, because there are various chemotherapy cocktails.
Yes.
first time I took chemotherapy, let me tell you something. When they say it's dangerous, they have something to say about it, because you have to be able to restrain all the things that's happening to your body. When I first got that infusion, I felt my face felt so flush, like it was on fire. My skin was literally on fire.
Your
And
feet?
everywhere was like it was on fire. That first moment that something new is coming into your body, and it was a lot. The first and the second infusion, I started to lose my hair. I started to feeling so fatigued I could not eat. But the trick about it is that it doesn't allow you to eat. What I find about myself, because I had no taste in my mouth, and I had to just mentally say, this is good, even though it tastes like cardboard. So if I followed the taste, I wouldn't have the nutrition. So I had to just forego taste and just think about nutrition when I ate.
It's amazing how smell and taste is
Everything
critical
was
to
off.
eating.
I got sick with certain smell. I felt fatigue. I was still going to work, and it was so good that when I did
You
it,
were still going to work?
I was, because I came back off my sick leave. I went, started in October when I had to return to work, and then I had a chemo session. So when it started Tuesday, the good thing about it is that 3 days after, I started feeling weak, and that would take me on the weekends. So my weekends were in bed. My weekends were literally in bed resting, because I just did not have the energy to get up. And then on Monday, I started to feel a little better, and I would go out to work.
So after the cycles, as you have it with the chemotherapy, when did you start feeling good again?
I never start, my chemo ended December 2018. And I remember it actually ended the 31st of December. They had to open the office for me to come in to finish the last cycle, because it was a holiday.
Yes.
And they were closing. And I remember I said to myself, this is my New Year's gift. I am done with chemo. I am now having my life now to just start moving from there. And I never started feeling stronger until about February, March of this year.
This year?
Yeah.
This year, no, folks. This year. You're so girly. I tell you why I say that. You got into naturally what most women get into after they've removed their breasts, or even before they remove their breasts. So they're so protective of it. As if you've ever seen a woman run in a naked room, the last thing she covers is her breasts. Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's that thing. And then you opined and you wondered, what would it be like for your next prospective? I think that's the word you used. Your next prospective person who will perhaps look at you as gorgeous as you are and want to hold you and like close to you. How was that?
That is something that I thought about. I'm not sure if I should say it's a good thing, but it's a good thing that I was single when I was going through this, meaning that I didn't have a spouse who would have had a wife, or to have a breast and then lose it, because it would have affected them too.
That's right.
So that was a blessing. But going into dating and the process of dating, that's scary. And to date, it is a scary thing, because you don't know when to start this conversation. How do you ever start a conversation like this? It's scary. How do you go about talking about issues that are affecting you in a real time? There are several scars all over. There's the reconstructive, there's the breast, there's a lot of things that have happened to this body in a year. And men are visual.
Yes.
That's a reality.
Yes.
So it comes to bear that it challenges who you are as a person. As attractive as you feel, there is some part of you that feeling less attractive. So you have to work on that.
Yes.
So it's a challenge.
Yes. I will have to do an update sometime on that part of the challenge. But we're going to take another break from, is it time for the break as yet? No? Yes, and I got to, because I just want to be sure that I can get into the fasting. Who to tell? Because it's almost a segue, can I tell this cute guy that, or who to tell? I found that a very interesting thing when you learned you had it, and even now, And you're telling the world, and that's fine.
Yes.
But who to tell? You dedicated a chapter to that.
I dedicated a chapter to this particular because going through finding out at that particular moment who to tell was very important. Who to tell determines how well you're going to continue. Because sometimes you tell persons and they've already pronounced you dead. And who to tell, sometimes you tell persons and they encourage, they check on you, they're the greatest supporter, the cheerleaders. And so who to tell is very critical at that fragile moment because you're in this fragile state. And if you tell somebody who does not understand, somebody who never experiences, somebody who cannot relate in terms of giving you hope and allowing you to even have hope for yourself, then that's important. I have gotten, I've lost friendship who I thought was friends because of this. Some persons, they start revealing themselves. And it's just life dynamic playing out. I've gained some wonderful friendship. I've forged some great alliances. I've gotten a new appreciation for people and different circumstances. And through who I told about it, I recognize that it is important not to speak much about it in the early stage, and that's why persons would say, they had cancer and nobody know about it, it's a hush hush, and they don't tell anybody because it's secret. It's not that cancer patients want to keep it secret, but they have to. They are trying to figure out what is happening to them. They are trying to process what is happening to them. For me to tell you, the first questions that come is, okay, where did you find it? What stage it is? You start asking a lot of clarifying questions that I'm not ready to answer because I've not processed that feeling yet.
That's the delay, but
exactly.
You determine that you're going to tell?
I determine after I've processed it, after I've spoken to my inner tribe, that I wanted to get this word out. I wanted it because I was too, and because of the experiences with my parents, we didn't understand what it meant even though they died of cancer. I don't think we really grasped what was happening. We heard, my father passed away. We didn't know until it was way in advance because he didn't tell. You understand?
But guess what? We're gonna take another break from Insight, and when we come back, she's gonna tell us exactly who she is and what really prepared her for this. We'll be right back on Insight.